Hello boys and girls. Today we are looking at fractions and percents, which is 4-6 out of our textbook. Our learning targets for today, which you need to write down, are I can write fractions as percentages, I can write percentages as fractions, and I can write ratios as percentages. All right, some things to think about here. What are ways that you can think of to represent parts of a whole? Well, one of them that you might already know is a fraction. Another one that we use is a ratio, which is comparing two numbers. So for example, if we were to say 3 out of 4 students, or 5 out of 15 people, things like that. Those are our ratios. Now, percent is usually out of 100, and we know these from like our tests. You might get a 90%, which is you got 90% out of 100, or we have 12%, things like that. Here's some vocab here for you. Percent. A percent is a part to whole ratio that compares a number to 100. Okay? So 9 out of 100, we're looking over here, 9 out of 100 is 9%. And then percent means per hundred or hundredths. The symbol that right there means the percent. Okay, fractions and percents are ratios that can represent the same number. Okay, so it's just comparing two numbers. So we're looking at this fraction, 3/20, and we want to write it as a percent. Well, what we need to do is we need to get that to be out of 100. And we remember from yesterday that we can get the denominator, our bottom number, to be 100. We can multiply by 5 on both of these, and that's going to be 15 out of 100. Now, since it's out of 100, 15 over 100, that is telling us that it is 15%. And over here, this image is just showing us how 3/20 is equal to 15/100. Okay? Here's some for you to try on your own and then come back and check. 17/20. Again, we can get this to have a denominator of 100 by multiplying by 5. Since a percent is out of 100, that's why we need it to be a denominator of 100. And then 17 times 5 is going to be 85. Well, 85 out of 100 is 85%. 3/5 we can multiply by 20 on the top and the bottom, the numerator and the denominator. 3 times 20 is 60. 5 times 20 is 100. So 60 out of 100, or 60/100, is 60%. Next one, multiply, well, I know 25 times 4 gives me 100. So 2 times 4 is 8. 8 out of 100 is 8%. All right, ratios are also fractions, and then we can write those ratios as percentages, okay? So 30 out of 50 books read, so that's a ratio comparing two numbers. I'm going to write that as a fraction, 30 out of 50. Now again, to write that as a percent, I want my denominator to be 100. Which tells us 60%, 60 out of 100. So that's telling us 60% of the books were read. Okay, you can try these if you have got it, otherwise follow along. 12 out of 25 teenagers. Well, 12 out of 25 tells us our fraction is 12/25. Get that denominator to be 100. 48 out of 100 tells us 48%. So that's telling us 45% of the teenagers. Okay? 12 2/10 out of 100. All right, points earned. Well, since it's already out of 100, if we were to write that as a fraction, 12.2 over 100, that is telling us it is 12.2%. Next one, 11 feet out of 20 feet. Our fraction is 11 out of 20 times the numerator and the denominator by 5. 55 out of 100 tells us 55%. All right, now we are writing a percent as a fraction. Okay, there are a few steps that we do for this. First, we can drop our percent sign. We don't need to worry about that. So we're trying to write 48% as a fraction in simplest form. So 48%, again, the percents are out of 100, so we can take our 48 and write it as a fraction over 100 because it's out of 100. Now we can simplify this. I'm going to start with dividing by 2. I know 2 goes into both of these. 48 divided by 2 is 24. 100 divided by 2 is 50. I know again, let's see, what goes into both 24 and 50? I know I can divide them both by 2, which 24 divided by 2 is 12. 50 divided by 2 is 25. And I think that is where we stop. So 48% as a fraction in simplest form is 12/25. Here's a couple for you to try on your own. Come back and check after you've got it. 40%, we know that we can drop the percent sign and write it over 100. I know that 4 goes into both of these, so I'm going to divide them both by, I'm going to divide them both by 10. 40 divided by 10 is 4. 100 divided by 10 is 10. Now I look at this and I say, oh, I know they both can be divided by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So 2/5. So 40% is 2/5 in simplest form. 6%, drop the percent sign, 6 over 100. Let's divide them both by 2, which equals 3/50. Can't be reduced anymore, so we are done with that one. 24%, drop the percent sign, put it over a denominator of 100. Let's see, let's divide them both by 2, because I know that they're both even. Okay, I know I can divide them both by 2 again. 6/25. Well, the numbers that go into 6 are 1, 2, 3, and 6. And none of those go into 25. So we are done. All right, you can head on over and take your NICU quiz for 4-6. If you are still confused, you can always go back and re-watch the video. You can look in the book for the examples or watch the tutor videos in your online textbook.